Thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com, the definitive home for technical analysis online. Our passion is understanding the market and identifying trade opportunities. Our goal is to share our success with others through consultation, training videos, and educational course materials. Get the skills that will make you a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join us today for access to daily analysis and live market coverage, a thriving community of over 1,000 active members, and hours of exclusive educational content. Come for the education, stay for the community.
Checking in on the market, so we finally got some pullback in the S&P 500 today. SPY, a little bit of an uptick in volume, and one thing I want to point out with the volume is 3 out of the last 5 trading days, and actually now the last 6 trading days, those are 3 of the lowest volume days of the entire year. So if you're doing volume comparison to the most recent days, just be aware that it is very low comparatively. And you can see that we are certainly on pace to decline volume in March compared, or I should say in April compared to March. Another thing I want to point out is that when we see the bears show up, it's marked by volume, and the volume is more than the 20-day average. This orange line is marking that 20-day average volume, and on the pullbacks that are meaningful and that are more than just little brief pauses, they see volume days that are over the average volume for the bears. So until I see that, I'm just anticipating that this is daily healthy consolidation looking for a higher low to form, because anything above 277.93 maintains the daily uptrend. We do have a gap to be watching. That's down at 282.84. And we had the top marked by a bit of a double top, including extended hours. Here's the Friday after hours high, and then the high of yesterday. And that's both 288.93, 288.91. And that's a double top and then a loss of the hourly support level. The bounce today, we did get another bounce opportunity first thing this morning, just like yesterday as well. So yesterday, the dip was 15 minutes and then a bounce. Today, it was roughly the same. Actually, I'm on the wrong day. But look how similar we are here. 15 minutes of pullback, bounce to a new high of the day, and the bulls recovered into the close. The difference today, significant pullback, oversold bounce, up towards the high of the day, but then we faded at the end of the day. So pretty much at about noon, just after noon, it was a complete difference in what we saw and how the price reacted. So here's noon back yesterday, all bulls, and we got all bears today. So that gave us an hourly lower high and lower low, which is the first clear hourly trend change in a while. No major red flags, but again, just a clear shift in momentum. Hourly exponential 12 and 26 period moving average crossed bearish after they have been bullish ever since our 4-hour equilibrium break. And we have an hourly lower high now at 288.08. Anything under 288.08 is just an hourly lower high, keeping the downtrend intact. So it's going to be up to the bulls to change the hourly trend to give us the indication that the daily higher low has been established. IWM pulling back. The daily higher low on IWM is it's closer. 153.51. So a pullback, again, volume is not noticeably large. Every notable pullback has had volume bars over the average volume, and here we're still well under that average volume by almost 20%. So about 15+% below the average volume. So we'll see if the bulls can change the hourly trend here as well. Our hourly lower high is 156.70. Have to change the hourly trend. We are at oversold to see the daily higher low form. QQQ, daily inside bar, held up better. Today's weakness was mostly the financial sector. And then in the afternoon, the tech sector did get weak, but it was a mix of the two that saw the weakness today. Either way, tightening daily inside bar. High of the day, we had the low, and it looks like we did break a support level, and that's actually the low of this morning. So the low of yesterday is down here. So what we're looking at is a break of today's range tomorrow to indicate which direction this inside bar is going. Break of 184.09 is bearish to have us look at 183.63 and 182.65. And if the bulls are able to break 185.11, we're right back up at the high. XLF finally started pulling back. We've been waiting for this daily lower high compared to 27.10 for a few days at this point, and a lower high is clearly set at 26.70. Bulls still trying to pull off a little bull flag, but they better start showing up in the near term tomorrow if they want this to be a daily bull flag. If we see another little red day, we're going to look at that to be too significant of a pullback to be a bull flag. Look at the volume. It is notable here. So this is the first name that we've looked at where the bear volume is over the average. And I want to zoom in because there's a lower wick. So I want to see how much of that volume is attributed to the bulls. And I can see that's a lot of bull volume at the end of the day. So that makes me discredit to a certain degree the fact that this is a big red volume bar when I know that a good bit of that is bull volume. And SPY did the same thing right at the end of the day. There was some wild action on SPY. But look at this bull volume. We flushed and hit a new low of the day, and the bulls bought the dip extremely aggressively. And it was one of the highest 5-minute volume candlesticks of the day, all right at the end. And it did favor the bulls a little bit. XBI is coming back down after its key daily bull break. We have a support of 90.95 on watch tomorrow, and the hourly RSI is oversold, or right there. So if we head down to that support of 90.95, hourly RSI will be getting oversold. And at this point, the weekly time frame, if we lose that daily high or low, we're looking to see can the bulls hold 86.37 to keep the weekly uptrend. So what I do when we change a trend on whatever time frame it is, I zoom out to a longer term time frame to look for clarity. So if we lose the daily uptrend on the daily, I zoom out to the weekly and say, okay, what would it take to lose the weekly uptrend? So XBI on watch for the potential of an hourly oversold bounce tomorrow. VIX bulls broke the daily lower highs. So we did see some strength at the end of the day, and I was watching TVIX, and TVIX was continuing to slowly climb while SPY was seeing a weak bounce attempt, but they were both climbing to a certain degree at the same time. So we're looking at key resistance from here. What stands out to me is 1670 and 1790. And again, a nice shift off of that low and a close near the high of the day. Looking at it from a longer term perspective, that's the resistance up in the 17s and 18s where we topped out back in March. And that's what the bulls are going to have to break here for this to be a meaningful bounce. Otherwise, we're going to look at just another lower high being set compared to those levels. Oil is still extremely strong. So oil on the 4-hour time frame, uptrend trying to remain intact, and we're looking at a higher low of 63.67. If we lose the 4-hour uptrend, we zoom out to the daily, and we see can the bulls hold the daily uptrend. 61.79 is that support level. Higher low and higher high each day the last few days. Lack of resistance. Oil is still strong. Natural gas topped out at 272, couldn't break the daily lower highs. Watching the 4-hour inverse head and shoulders pattern attempt, where this would be the left shoulder, this would be the head, and this is now the right shoulder attempting to form, and we have to see the bulls break 272 in order to see a clear shift in momentum. If we break 272, that gives me confidence that our weekly higher low is established and that we have a weekly equilibrium playing out. So it's all about 272 in the short term for me with the inventory report approaching. That's going to be a significant factor. And right now, if we break 2672, we will call it a failed attempt at resistance. So 2672 to 272 are the most important levels for me on natural gas. Patiently waiting for some more clarity on the longer term timeframes. So overall, the momentum has shifted. We did end with a little bit of weakness. The bears have seen more follow through than they've seen in 2 weeks, but it's still not enough for us to shift our focus from just looking for another daily higher low to form. So we'll see what tomorrow gives us. Again, have to see bear volume. That's the number one thing for me. In order to derail this all-time high test bull train, I need to see bear volume over the 20-day average. And even then, we could still probably keep the daily uptrend, but volume. Have a good night. Do good things. So for adventure time now, got back from the road trip to Florida, got a call from my buddy as I was looking for my next move, and he said, hey, I got a friend of a coworker, of a sister friend who needs someone to come house sit a couple dogs on the beach in Costa Rica in Pavones. And I said, okay, let's do that. So that was a great connection to have, and ended up going for 6 weeks to this house sitting spot, and it was perfection. And the change of pace that going to Costa Rica brought was just, it couldn't have been more perfect in terms of the lifestyle, just slower paced. Pretty much all you got to think about every day is, what do I want to eat today? And that's about it. When am I going to get in the ocean? What time is it? Where's the tide at? And Pavones has the second longest left to right breaking wave in the world. So it's a surfer's haven. And there's also a bunch of yoga retreats. So there's a bunch of yogis there. And the most important part is it's off the beaten path. It's all bumpy dirt roads and about a 6-hour bus ride if you want to get there from a city with an airport. So that keeps tourists away, and it keeps it really awesome and low key. Now, as we were leaving a few years ago, they were just building some kind of resort, something, and it felt like things were about to change. Hopefully that didn't happen, but I haven't gone back since then. So we'll talk about some stories and hanging out with the dogs. We'll talk with the dogs in a later video. But it was the kind of thing where we went for 2 weeks and stayed in a hostel to get a feel for the area and to meet people. We brought our jam instruments. And that was the best part about the hostel, is there were always people around. It was a big community kitchen. This beach is, 5-minute walk from anywhere that you stay in Pavones. And there are waves every single day. It just depends on the tide. Twice a day, there will be awesome waves. And I love body surfing. It's one of my favorite things to do. So having that available, I would just trade in the morning and then get into the ocean and walk the dogs. And that was the day. And that was the first time that I experienced a euphoria money growing on trees market. That was 2013, 2014. And the US penny stocks, they all ran 500 to 1,000% in the span of about 2 months, even less than that. So it was just massive euphoria, like we've seen with crypto, like we've seen with Canadian MJ. So again, these cycles just keep repeating themselves, but this was happening in the Canadian or in the penny stock MJ world. And we had a chat room where we just collected some like-minded individuals and chatted with each other and talked about plays. And that was really the first step towards the chart guys in terms of running a chat room and organizing things and staying productive and seeing what a team could really do working together. But being able to do that here was pretty much heaven on earth and just absolute perfection. There's a little skate park that the locals had built. So this is the hostel, and it was just a jungle. The plant and animal species there are insane. Life is everywhere. And this place tucked away in the jungle, again, just late night jams with other travelers that were coming through. And I can remember one night it was just pouring, and this guy was freestyling, I was playing the drum, and my buddy was playing the keyboard, and it was just a good old time. There was a little kid who lived there. We brought these balls where you hit them. They light up in all different colors, and at night we would chuck balls at each other. Lizards were everywhere. There's Dan in a hammock. So we're going to go to the castle on the beach, which is I think what they called it, and the dogs, Baloo and Cowboy, for some more stories with them and some more Pavones. Go to Pavones. Go to Costa Rica. I got to go back. There's so many places to go, but when you get to a good one, you want to go back. But man, that was perfection. Internet wasn't bad. It would cut out at times, and it did lose me money one morning. I can remember the internet cut out, and I wasn't able to sell. But it was the gap up open play. That's where I learned it. In that run, you buy into strength at the end of the day, you're going to gap up open the next day. And we didn't have pre-market trading in the penny stock world, so it was just this guarantee. And just lock it in, and ended up coming home with maybe twice as much money as I left with before I got there. So, good times. See you tomorrow.